Welcome, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Sinan for making a very good talk, but also rising the bar very high. So I just want to give some brief information about my past, and I have almost 20 years experience, and including 15 years experience in Turkey, and around 5-6 years in Australia. I worked in diverse industries, including aviation, defense, and mining, and recently explosives. Okay. Okay. So I will talk about why registration matters, and then deep dive registered engineering in Australia, and top tips for success, and common pitfalls to avoid, and finally the questions if we have. I just wanted to give some disclaimer, because this seminar is provided for informational only. So the information we are giving is here not represented by the Engineers Australia itself. So this is just a disclaimer. Okay, why registration matters? And first of all, is for your professional credibility, and the other one is in Queensland, especially, is the legal requirements. And the third one is the career mobility and leadership. And also, if you get that level, it's for the tender eligibility. I mean, if you are applying for a tender for your company, or if you own a company and applying for a government tender, or a position that you are applying for a defense tender, or maybe some council or Queensland government. So, okay, I will first speak about the NER, National Engineering Register, and this is why we need an NER, and who is responsible for NER. NER is actually National Engineering Register, and it was recently, let's say almost 10 years ago, it's been introduced by Engineers Australia, and it's managed by Engineers Australia. It's voluntary, but highly recognized. So this is not for the graduate engineers. It's for engineers with an experience at least 5 years. So you will need an engineering degree, which recognized by Engineers Australia. It can be an Washington Accord, or something like previously Dennis mentioned about it's the other pathways. And also CPD records. This is your continuous professional development record. So as Dennis mentioned, that it's very crucial. I mean, you're recording how you are progressing. What Engineers Australia or engineering in Australia is expecting you to your professional career continuously improving. So this is the record of that you are progressing. If you are actively doing your engineering, you need to progress in your career. It's an lifetime learning, so it's very important. And referee reports, these are the reports that actually the people that you worked with, and they are very critical, and I will explain it later why why Engineers Australia are looking for these referee reports. And usually Engineers Australia, what they do, they contact with your referees. Sometimes they call them, sometimes they get just an email reply, but usually Nowadays, they are making a Zoom calls. And the competency demonstration, which I will explain in detail right now. So actually, Dennis mentioned that about the competencies, but there are in NER, there are 5 important competencies, and I will give some examples with that. So first of all, it will ask you deal with ethical issues. As a general approach that in addressing ethical issues involves practice, considering the potential outcomes of your actions or inactions and understanding how those outcomes are managed within your team. For example, I will give you some examples. If you're overseeing a project where a design shortcut could reduce costs, but company's safety and ethical engineer wouldn't only foresee the risk, but also raise the concern, consult with stakeholders, and ensure the final decision prioritize public safety and integrity, even if it means a challenging popular or cost-driven choices. So basically, sometimes engineers are struggle to give some decisions like when they are doing, oh, sorry, that's what, no. Oh, this is so important, it's so urgent, so we need to finalize this, and we need to give this part tomorrow, or we need to finalize this project in a week time, or it should be done yesterday. So basically, you cannot go to any shortcuts, and it's the engineering ethic, and they will ask you about how you are dealing with these type of dilemmas, I will say. And the other one is practicing competently involves evaluating the skills and resources required for given engineering task. So actively developing those capabilities and applying them effectively to deliver safe, reliable, and high quality outcomes. And yeah, actually, there's a good example here. I would like to dive. So imagine you are responsible for selecting and commissioning a new fleet of articulated dump trucks, for example, for large-scale mining. And practicing competently means you first assess operational requirements, and such as payload, capacity, terrain conditions, and maybe fuel efficiency. Nowadays, maybe an electric truck, and maintenance needs, and you then acquire the necessary technical knowledge, whether through manufacturer-specific training or consulting with the experts, or you're just looking for you're doing your own research and lecture research, maybe. Finally, you apply this knowledge to ensure the selected machinery meets safety standards and integrates with existing systems and delivers optimal performance over its life cycle. So it's also, you need to demonstrate that you're all applying these rules and following a life cycle approach. And the third one is identifying, assessing, and managing risks, which means developing and operating within a structured hazard and risk framework that is appropriate to the specific engineering activity, ensuring that potential threats to safety, performance, and compliance are systematically addressed. Another example here I would like to share is suppose you are designing a new hydraulic system for a fleet of excavators used in the urban construction. Practicing safe and sustainable engineering means ensuring the system complies with WHS regulations, such as pressure containment and emergency shutoff protocols. You also assess the environmental impact, like what if the fluid leakage risks and energy consumptions, and choose maybe biodegradable hydraulic fluids and energy efficient components. Also, the long term, you plan for maintenance accessibility and life cycle emissions, ensuring the machinery remains safe and sustainable throughout its operational life. So these are the things that when you are saying that, okay, I am accompanying with this in identifying, assessing and managing risks. So this is, you need to answer how you answer these questions. And the fourth one is identify, assess, and okay, applying local engineering. So maybe something. Yeah. Yeah, applying local. Sorry. Fourth one, identifying as a managing risk and potential safeties and the rest. This should be this one. Okay. The fourth one, fifth, apply. Yeah, apply local engineering knowledge. Apply. Or is it going? Yeah. Applying local engineering knowledge means understanding and integrating region-specific engineering practices, standards, and conditions. It also involves leveraging expertise from others, such as suppliers, consultants, contractors, and independent specialists. Okay, so there's this, usually they're coming from different countries and different backgrounds. Sometimes we don't have that experience in here. We don't have the local experience in Australia, maybe. But it doesn't mean that you cannot answer these questions, because I got my NER when I was in Turkey. So it was, I think, 7 or 8 years ago. The local experience doesn't mean that you need to have that Australian local experience. It's how you deal with the local suppliers or local people, because engineers always deal with the actually the people. So imagine you are designing a heavy-duty trailer for transporting mining equipment in APEC, Queensland, for example. Applying local engineering knowledge means accounting for rough terrain, extreme heat, and long travel distances. You consult with local suppliers and select suspension systems and braking components proven perform in these conditions. You also engage with regional contractors and transport operators to understand practical challenges like dust ingress, tire wear, and road train regulations. Maybe another example you can think about is you have some experience in the overseas and you are working in the very cold conditions, minus 30 degrees, for example, and you need to think about and how the hydraulic fluids affects it. So you need to select the right hydraulic fluids and stuff. And so it's the thinking about the local conditions. So it's a 5-step assessment process. And first of all, you need to create an account, and you can find all these details in Engineers Australia. I just copied them here, but I just wanted to get over it. So, and log in, complete online self-assessment form to rate yourself against the NER competencies, obtain 2 relevant referees who can verify your competency and recent work experience, have an NER interview with qualified Engineers Australia assessor. So they are going to interview with you with this NER application. And usually it takes 1 hour, and sometimes if it is not that easy progress for them, so it may take longer, but usually it takes 1 hour. And then you will receive your outcome notification. So, and this is the critical part. I think I will move. The RPEQ is the Queensland registration. And RPEQ is actually is a part of Board of Professional Engineers of Queensland, which gives registered professional engineers of Queensland. It's legally required in Queensland, administered by BPEQ. And why I started with the NER actually, when you have the NER, Engineers Australia gives you a letter that you can directly apply to the RPEQ, which automatically gives you an RPEQ. Or you need to apply to BPEQ and you will have your RPEQ. Okay, why registration matters in Queensland? Queensland enforces the Professional Engineers Act since 2002, and which mandates that anyone providing professional engineering services for Queensland must be registered as a registered professional engineer. This includes services performed in interstate or overseas if they are for Queensland-based project. So if you are a civil engineer, you need to be RPEQ. If you are a mechanical engineer and doing the piping design or structural design, then machinery structural design, you need to be RPEQ. If you are a structural engineer, you need to have the RPEQ. And there are some laws behind it, and it's mandatory, and you cannot practice engineering without the RPEQ in Queensland. Queensland is the first state that required the RPEQ for that. The purpose is to protect public safety, infrastructure, competent experts, engineers deliver services, uphold professional standards and accountability, provide legal recourse for substandard work, and RPEQ is not just a sign-off. There are 4 steps of assessment process. First, the qualification. You must hold a relevant Washington Accord or equivalent recognized degree, and the competency and the assessment, qualification and competency assessment. You cannot directly upload to the BPEQ. Some organizations like mechanical engineers and civil engineers, and electric engineers is through the EA, Engineers Australia. But if you're an aeronautical engineer, so it's over with the Civil Aviation Authority, so it's with the CASA. And also for the mining engineers is different. You can find all these details in the BPEQ website. And after that, registration becomes on. Okay, so, and recently several states have introduced or expanded the mandatory registration schemes. Victoria, civil structural, electrical, mechanical, and fire safety, and New South Wales, engineers working in class 2, 3, and 9C buildings in specific disciplines. Australian Capital Territory, and Western Australia, Tasmania, Northern Territory, not in the South Australia for now. But especially if you're a civil engineer or you are working in the building industry, so you need to be an registered engineer. Okay, so my final presentation is about the charter. This is the highest level achievement that you can get in in Australia. It's an internationally recognized, which requires a deep competency proof, and there are a couple of pathways, reports, and employee validated states, but I will define is actually there are two pathways. One with the engineers, 5 to 15 years experience. It starts with the self-assessment, industry review, enroll chartered assessment and pre-assessment, and then interview. And for the engineers with the 15 years experience or over, it's pre-approval. You just prepare your CV and you send it to Engineers Australia, and also you fill a form in the Engineers Australia website. It shows self-assessment, and also you need to demonstrate your CPD evidence. For example, I use my master's degree as a CPD evidence, and also some of the expos that I attended, or customers and suppliers visits and reads, and all the documents, papers that I release, and also you need to upload enrollment documentation. After that, they will do a pre-assessment and evaluate it, and then they will do an interview. This interview is actually longer than NER interview. It's a bit tough, but it doesn't mean that it cannot be achieved. So they're expecting you to, as a 15 years experience engineer, so they're expecting you to be competent and also self-confident, and things that you do, you know what to do. It's basically it's the top of the, I think, engineering achievements that you can have. With the chartered, what you can have is actually it's more with the, again, with the tenders, and not only for the Queensland, but also for including all the states, and also for international recognition. And they will give you an Asia Pacific recognition. So all the chartered engineers are recognized by Indonesia, I think a couple of other countries in Asia Pacific region. So if you are working in here in the mining industry, as may know that some tenders are happening in Papua New Guinea. So if you want to make some engineering work there, so you need to have this chartered degree. Yeah. Okay. My insight and tips can be start CPD logging early. It's easy, and real measurable project examples, as then said, it needs to be, I mean, with your own words, and you can use AI, but it's going to be your own experience. I mean, AI can generate, as Dennis mentioned, it's all about the AI can generate anything imaginary, but and choose referees wisely. Why it's important? Because sometimes that if you're not selecting the right referee, it may not be totally mirroring yourself. It's more like if you are selecting your referees as your maybe direct reporting manager, it's okay. So they know you and all the things that you've done. But for example, if you select your referee as one of your customers and you just work one time, maybe they cannot give the details they want. Chartered is demanding but worth it, yes. And I will say, if you go to that part, and if you go to the NER and RPEQ part, so I think it's ends with each other, so don't delay the process. So I would like to thank you for listening me and being here. So you can reach me or my email at sinan@betatype.com.au.